अश्विनी एक बार म्यूट कर लो, स्टार्ट करते हैं. कुछ पूछना हो तो अनम्यूट करके पूछ लेना. Okay, right. So let's have a look. So Parliament has passed the bill to provide 10% quota for poor, right? And this is Rajya Sabha has cleared it in a obviously proposed 9-hour heated debate, right? And obviously there was a couple of debates were there whether this bill should now also be sent to the state governments for ratification or not. But obviously the government said it's not required. And obviously Congress leader Anand Sharma had said provisions under Article 15 and 16 were for weaker and backward communities. And in the past, there have been attempts which have been made, right? But the Supreme Court has struck them down. So this is one thing that is there, obviously one of the issues. Right. Then Kanimozhi has talked about the fact is that the first PM brought in a first amendment. He expressly excluded the word economic. And obviously the government doesn't have any data to justify 10%. Okay. Right. And then, Derek O'Brien is saying that is the new poverty line 2,100 rupees per day since 8 lakh will be the slab. Right. So, this is a scheme to basically cheat India. That's what they're saying. So the idea is that obviously this 8 lakh is too high. It has to be something like 2.5 for it to be a reasonable thing, right? You want it for the weaker section or you want it for everyone? Because there will be too many people, too many claimants for this now, right? And the further other backward classes and SC, STs will also be eligible for this. So then that itself becomes a huge problem in this, right? And further, obviously, there was a joke also that several bills were made as money bills, right? This could also have been made as a money bill here itself, right? Instead of having a constitutional amendment. Okay, so that's one. Then just for an idea, that Supreme Court has ordered a confidential report into the 21 police encounters in Gujarat, which had occurred during Narendra Modi's chief ministership, should be shared with the petitioners Javed Akhtar and Varghese. And Gujarat council was not happy with this fact, but obviously this was the case. Let's see what kind of report is there by Justice Bedi. He's a Supreme Court judge, former Supreme Court judge, right? That's there. Then Justice Sikri will be the part of because Chandan Gogoi had given the judgment, so he basically saying he cannot be part of the committee, right? So Justice Gogoi will not be a part, and Justice Sikri will be part of the select committee. So you should know that there's a select committee in case any kind issue is there, right? So prior approval of the committee, which is comprised of CGI, the leader of opposition, and the Prime Minister, is a must before transferring a CBI director of his powers. So this is going to happen, and let's see what happens here, right? And obviously, this is option under the Section 4A of the Delhi Special Police Act, Establishment Act. And now here itself, this act is the reason, this is the CBI Act actually. So there's no CBI Act, there's a Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, and this is on which the CBI was made. This is also something you should know. Okay, let's go to The Nation now. Nothing much here. Shah Faisal has resigned. I think this is a topic for ethics and governance, right? That he's saying that there's marginalization of Muslims, and he's saying to protest against the unabated killings in Kashmir and a lack of any sincere outreach from the union government, the visible marginalization of around 200 million Indian Muslims at the hand of Hindutva forces, reducing them to second-class citizens, then the insidious attack on the special identity of J&K, and the growing culture of intolerance and hate in the Indian mainland. And he says he's decided to resign from the Indian Administrative Services. Most probably he'll join the National Conference and will be the MP next year, right, from North Kashmir. And that's the basic idea, that he's going to be representing Kashmir. Last year, he actually cited a lot of opinions on Kashmir on Twitter, and there was a DOPT inquiry against him also, and they said that it's a prima facie convention of service rules. So I think because of his increasing political views, right, was best that he no longer is a part of the civil services and joins politics full time. Then there's there's a strike in Mumbai, but not that relevant for us, I would say. The next article which is useful is this one: judicial evasion. So here, there's a, this is a article by Gaurav Bhatia. He's a Delhi-based lawyer, and he's very, very famous. And he's, a lot of, in the LGBTQ, etc. He's also written articles there. So in this high-stake case, Supreme Court says that, obviously, the problem is that they have done something very weird in the Alok Verma case. And the most interesting thing they have said is, that he will not make any policy decisions. Okay, he's restrained from making any policy decision despite they have reinstated him. Now here is something very, very weird because the basic case was not this, and Supreme Court again has misused its power to placate the government, it seems. Okay, so what happened was on 26 October, a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court headed by CGI was confronted with a straightforward legal question: whether the decision taken by CVC and central government to divest CBI director Alok Verma was valid. The question was straightforward because it was 3 legal instruments were there: Delhi Special Police Establishment Act that brought CBI into existence, the CVC Act, and the Supreme Court's own judgment in Vineet Ryan. And the counsel for Verma had argued that the CBI director had, obviously guaranteed tenure under the DSPE Act, and he could not be transferred without the consent of high-powered committee consisting of the Prime Minister, the CGI, and the Leader Opposition. Right, and further there was a further claim because in the Vineet Ryan case, the director, obviously must be protected from political influence. This was themselves a Supreme Court exhortation. The Attorney General basically now, obviously, remember, Attorney General says anything these days, and obviously he will argue for the government. He says the committee role was purely recommendatory, and the power vested with the central government. Now, obviously, I think he's having some hallucinations sometimes, I feel, right? Because if that was the case, there was no need for a recommendatory body. The power is with the central government, right? They should not waste time of the Leader of Opposition and the CGI. They have other things to do. Okay, then as the Supreme Court itself acknowledged what was at stake was a pure question, so this should have been done very quickly. But what has been happening is that, one thing Gaurav Bhatia is saying, Gautam Bhatia is saying, is the fact that the problem is that, the government is benefiting, right? He says in the Aadhaar government case also, the private parties were banned from accessing the Aadhaar database. The ambiguity in the court's holding meant that different parties interpreted a judgment differently, leading to the amendment to the Aadhaar Act now, which basically wants to circumvent and let private parties through the back door. Right. So basically what is happening is that because of the judicial evasion, they're creating ambiguities in their judgments. It primarily benefits the party that has the power to exploit it, and that is the government now. That the government will do anything, and it seems to be like that. Right, because they, in the Delhi case also, despite the fact they have talked about the fact that the LG has to now listen to the CM, they are still saying the services are under the LG because that has not been clearly mentioned. And it's high time the Supreme Court gives very clear judgments about things, and that's one problem that is happening. He said, finally, he ends with the Constitutional Assembly debates. He says, in the Constitutional Assembly, when the Constitution of India was being made, there was a proposal that all cases involving fundamental rights be decided in 1 month, right? And the fear was that more time the court took, the more the government would benefit from status quo. And recent events, especially in this government, have confirmed this. And obviously, in two high-stakes, time-sensitive cases, the court has to ensure, 2 things: the judgment is timely and the judgment is clear. And the Alok Verma case demonstrates when basically the court fails to abdicate, fails to do so, it abdicates its role, right, and allows the government to get away with abuse of law. And that's what regularly they've been doing. And even the case, I think the 10% quota case is the abuse of law in some ways. Okay, then we have a wonderful article on India, China, and Afghanistan, right? And this is, I think, a very interesting article. So it says India and China can work together bilaterally in a multilateral grouping to secure Afghanistan. And that is the basic idea, that the great game is not a zero-sum deal, right? So basically the great game is basically control over Central Asia and Afghanistan. Now, there is a great deal of uncertainty about US intentions in Afghanistan, and obviously the likelihood of the American pullout, what will happen, right? And what can China actually become a power broker in Afghanistan? Can India help enhance Afghanistan's security, and so on? So remember, like India, China had never had intention of contributing, NATO's anti-Taliban campaign. But as Asia's strongest power and challenger to US, obviously, as soon as the US goes away, China will obviously go very quickly into Afghanistan and try to, use its resources for its benefit, and would try to actually get Afghanistan into the Belt and Road Initiative, right, to link China to the rest of the old Silk Route, that is. Right. So idea is that the resources of Afghanistan can be used, the natural resources, for Chinese development in the central China, because it's a central China which is not developed. If you think about China, it's only on the east coast, right, the coast near Japan, that is very well developed. The central, Chinese are not that developed, right? Especially the Xinjiang province. There's ethnic issues there. There is terrorism there. So all that. Okay, so what the article is saying, that China has gained considerable economic and diplomatic influence, and Ashraf Ghani had made China its first official trip in 2014, right? And obviously, China wanted that there should be regional consensus on Afghanistan security, and China actually is a part of the four-nation coordination group with Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the US. It is giving military aid to Afghanistan as well, right? And obviously there is a lot of focus on influential investing in Afghanistan. There have been mining projects, road projects, railways, rail links, right? So eastern China has been linked, right, to Afghanistan, right? There's a river port of Harathan in northern Afghanistan to make shipments, and this has just reduced just to 2 weeks now. So this is extremely important. Okay, so then they talks about the fact that the SCO is something that here the Chinese readiness is there. That remember, the Shanghai Cooperation is also security related, so that's also very important. Okay, so this article is extremely good, though it might be more important for a political science optional student. Okay, right? But this article basically, there's a question on India, China, Afghanistan, right? So that would be, I think, best answered by reading this article, right? Okay, so I चलते हैं. These two articles are not useful. Ritu, you have read this, huh? Yes. Newspaper देख लिया आज का? Yes. Rajiv, need to get time. Sir, Hindu Indian Express पढ़ा. Indian Express देखा. Okay, right. These two not really useful again, right? But I think you should go through this. A question of citizenship, right? Again, the same. I think we have already discussed this yesterday. So, what is the problem? Obviously, the Assam Accord and the Citizenship Act is, obviously against each other. The Assam Accord says that anybody who's after 1971, 24th of March, is illegal immigrant. But here, if citizenship act may hai ki if you are a Hindu or you're Muslim, you are a persecuted minority from these areas, Buddhist, Jains, etc., Sikh, etc., and Hindus. So then you can get citizenship in half the time, that is 6 years, instead of 11, which is normal. So 12, okay, 12. Okay, so that's one of the problems there, right? So I think there's going to be a political fallout, and the Assam Gan Parishad has, pulled out of the alliance with the BJP, and other regional alliances of the BJP are also unhappy and could take a call with the Lok Sabha elections under coming year. And people tend to say that this is for votes. This citizenship is basically a way of placating the people who are having problems with the the NRC. Then obviously, as you remember, the Chang'e 4, right? Dark side of the moon, it landed, right? What is Chang'e? Is named after the sun goddess. Okay, let me ask you a question. Give me a second. Okay. think I need to reduce the font. Okay, so statements दे रखे हैं Changi 4 के बारे में. Statement 1 is Changi 4 is a lunar exploration mission that achieved the first soft landing on the far side of the moon on 3rd January 2019. And the second statement is the mission is named after Changi, the Chinese sun goddess. So which of the statement is correct? Yes, Ritu.
Both.
Hi, Rajit. What do you say? Ashwani?
I think so both are
See,
correct.
कहाँ गया एक्सप्लोरेशन ट्रिप? मून पे, तो सन गॉडेस होगा. Obviously moon होगा, common sense. See, नहीं, it doesn't matter Changi. Basically, see, अगर moon पे गया तो how can it back? Ajit, stop, having poor jokes, huh? Okay, right. Next question to Ritu. Ritu, question number 6.
The range.
Seriously?
Khasi is okay. Sorry.
Ashwani.
Khasi.
Ashwini, any ideas? Question number 6. In the state of Meghalaya, at least 15 workers are trapped in a coal mine since mid-December 2018. In which of the following hills were they trapped in?
I think no, sir. Sorry.
No idea? Okay, no problem. Acha, which of the following are the constituents of biogas? Anyone? Following are constituents of biogas: methane, siloxane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide. All of them. 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 3, and 2 and 4. So what do you say?
D.
Are you saying all of them? Okay. Harjeet?
ऑप्शन लिखा
थोड़ा छोटा कर देता हूँ because then you can see it in one.
B option.
D? Okay, let's have a look. Which of the following statement is true about methane hydrates? छोटा कर देता हूँ पहले. Which of the following statements are true about methane hydrate? कल था ना ये article? So methane hydrate is a cage-like lattice of ice inside of which trapped molecules of methane, the chief constituent of natural gas. ये मतलब ये है. Originally thought to occur only in the outer regions of the solar system where temperatures are low and water ice is common. Significant deposits of methane class A have been found in other sediments in ocean floor of the earth. So only 1, only 2, both 1 and 2, neither of them.
Ocean floor.
Ashwini, what do you say?
Second. फर्स्ट के बारे में सर मुझे कंफर्म नहीं. सेकंड
कल किया तो था, ध्यान नहीं रहा. चलो कोई बात नहीं. ओके. मीनल इज हियर. मीनल, यस मीनल. क्वेश्चन नंबर 8, मीनल. Hello Meenal, how are you doing? There Meenal? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Meenal, question number 8.
Sir.
Hello Meenal, how are you? Question number 8, please.
Good. Yes.
Both.
Nil, what do you say?
एक मिनट.
Okay. चलो, let's continue. आज के
A
न्यूज़पेपर में
option.
वापस. नहीं, both. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, then obviously quota won't steal from Dalit and OBC. भाई उनको और मिलने वाला है, कम थोड़ी होने वाला है. All the OBC and all the SC ST उनके लिए वो 10% ओपन हो चुका है. एक्चुअली कोटा 60% पहुंच गया है. जनरल कैटेगरी से 10 ले लिया गया एक्चुअली.
सर उसमें तो लिखा हुआ था न्यूज़पेपर में कल की जो ऑलरेडी किसी भी कोटे का बेनिफिट ले रहे हैं वो इसमें नहीं आ सकते.
ये कैसे? That's not possible. मतलब
ये बिल्कुल स्पेसिफिक स्टार्टिंग पे
वैसे तो मिलने ही नहीं वाला अजीत. वैसे तो वैसे ही खारिज होने वाला है. Regularly this has been done in Rajasthan and Maharashtra. So unless they buy the Supreme Court some way, it's going to be very difficult to get
देखो
this.
राज्यसभा वाले debate में तो they were like कि they have like proper legal grounds as well. और Supreme Court में भी नहीं आएगी problem.
या पार्लियामेंट में से ऐसी बातें करता है. एनजैक में भी ये बोला था उन्होंने. पार्लियामेंट के पॉलिटिशियंस की बात मानना इस देश में इज लाइक बेवकूफी.
Not politicians but ऐसे debate होती है वो big picture.
हाँ, see what they are saying is that हम जनरल कैटेगरी के लिए कर रहे हैं ये. That's what the argument they're giving. But economic backwardness के बेसिस पे कोटा नहीं मिलता है हमारे देश में. You can give a scholarship. आप यूबीआई दे सकते हो. आप लेट्स से गरीब लोग हैं, लेट्स से 10% you're saying कि people are poor. तो रिजर्वेशन देने का क्या? तो क्या इकोनॉमिक रीजन के लिए तो इकोनॉमिक वो तो ना, राइट? सो वो आर्ग्यूमेंट ही नहीं है उनका.
Also economic data भी they were saying is not available.
वो तो इस गवर्नमेंट ने गायब कर ही दिया है. So India's GDP may grow at 7.3. ये दिया हुआ है. That's interesting. So 7.3 grow करेगा this year, and China is supposed to slow down to 6.2 or 6% this year. ये ग्लोबल इकोनॉमिक प्रोस्पेक्ट्स रिपोर्ट है. ये रिलीज बाय वर्ल्ड बैंक है. ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. इस पे ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन आ जाता है कि ग्लोबल इकोनॉमिक प्रोस्पेक्ट रिपोर्ट कौन निकालता है. ठीक है ना? So you should know this is done by the World Bank. That's there. That's important. The argument they're giving is कि challenge नहीं होगा because they think that उन्होंने already खरीद लिया है, compromise है Supreme Court. That's the only way.
ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी
Global economic prospects report.
Global economic prospects reports. ठीक है ना? Then private consumption will become $6 trillion. This is the World Economic Forum is saying that right now we are at 1.5. अब ये बढ़ जाएगा काफी ज्यादा. ठीक है ना? ये रिपोर्ट है फ्यूचर ऑफ कंजम्पशन इन फास्ट ग्रोथ कंज्यूमर मार्केट इंडिया बाय वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम. सो अगेन दिस कैन आल्सो कम इन योर प्रीलिम्स. ठीक है ना? because they normally ask such a question. इसके अलावा कुछ खास है नहीं. See, unless the Supreme Court is compromised, the quota will not exist. 9 judge bench already. आपको overturn करने के लिए 11 जज चाहिए. तो वैसे ही स्टे है. ठीक है ना? Unless they are compromised totally. ठीक है ना? And let's say अभी तो compromised हैं, but अगर election में coalition बना तो compromised तो नहीं रहेंगे. ठीक है? अभी strong government है तो obviously they're getting a lot of judgments. जैसे आधार bill should have been thrown out. मतलब वो तो सबसे बड़ा फ्रॉड था. And that tells you कि मैनेज किया गया. They gave something to judiciary to, right? किसी के बेटे को लगाया होगा कुछ ना कुछ करके. ऐसे ही लग रहा मुझे. Okay, anyhow, leaving this aside, let's head back, right? कल का देखें एक बार, very quickly. So same, Alok Parma was reinstated. Citizenship wala, same thing, right? So nothing has changed there. Right, Sterlite plant reopen हो रहा है जिसपे question आया था in ethics paper, right? In case you want to see the answer, that's there in our right YouTube channel में answer बना हुआ है उस case study का, right? Then let's go ahead. HAL का obviously Monsanto पे question आ रखा है. This is again GM crops. Okay, in case you haven't studied GM crops as a topic, this is a reminder कि GM crops and GM seeds के बारे में पढ़ लो अच्छे. Because they have said that set aside the previous judgment. Judgment important नहीं है, हमारे लिए important है GM crops क्या होते हैं, कौन से types के हैं, what has happened, उनका analysis वो important है हमारे लिए. ठीक है. Then obviously parliamentary committee has pulled up the defense ministry because the amount allocated is not even enough for the liabilities itself. So that's one thing. Then CAG, ये corruption के related topic है. So irrigation projects delay has led to jump in costs. So tardy implementation under the accelerated irrigation benefit program between 2008 to 17 has led to a threefold jump. So ये increase हो गया because obviously there is very slow implementation of irrigation projects. So ये obviously ये CAG वाले answer में you can put this as example. Okay, let's go ahead. Yes, you can go through the Aadhaar bill. Obviously, they've talked about the same issue that now backdoor entry करवा रही है government because what is happening is that they're repeatedly the Supreme Court is giving vague judgments government को बचाने के लिए. They're not giving very clear-cut judgments कि अच्छा nothing will happen now because of poor judgments there are renewed attacks on our rights. Then the Modi government reservation gambit के ऊपर है article. Okay, so you can go through this. This is also useful. देखा था ये article? कल मिस हो गया. Okay, then quota questions, again the same issue because see rattled by the upper caste erosion in upper caste votes in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, the BJP government has attempted to recover its traditional vote base through an unapologetic political maneuver, right? So that is the case, and it has sought that up 10% quota ho equally, ठीक है ना? So it is more of an election type signal to upper caste than a genuine attempt to obviously revisit social justice policy, right? ये इसमें issue है basically. Main problem यही है कि 50% limit है, right? Which will be breached, ठीक है ना? And even if it is arguable that such a move will keep deserving opportunity, right? Indira Sahni basically had struck down a judgment क्योंकि पहले ये दिया गया था PV नरसिम्हा राव के टाइम पे you had given a 10% quota, तो तब अगर struck down हो गया तो अब ऐसा क्या नया आ गया कि struck down नहीं होगा? That's the one problem there. And दूसरी problem obviously income ceiling 8 lakh. This is too high, right? For any kind of, ठीक है ना? ये creamy layer वाला है. OBC में creamy layer होती है 8 lakh, ठीक है ना? And this is an uneasy parity that has been created between socially and educationally backward classes with limited means. So basically, this is an attack on the OBC quota as well.
4-acre land is up.
5-acre land है.
5 acre.
5 acre. And but if you think about it, 5 acre land तो वो land ceiling है.
5 acre. 5 acre.
ठीक है ना? Right? It should be for landless laborers, यार. Come on. मतलब आप economically backward ले रहे हो, 5 एकड़ वाला बंदा कैसे मतलब डाल सकते हो? 8 लाख कैसे हो सकता है? So that's a big problem that they have. ठीक है ना? Then they have mentioned other things also. So I think this is a very clear-cut analysis of what they have done. So basically he's saying that reservation has been traditionally provided to undo historical injustice and social exclusion suffered over a period of time. Okay, and the question is whether they should be extended to those with social and educational capital solely on the basis of what they earn is very weird. देखो इसमें अगर मैं clearly बोलूँ इसमें problem क्या है इसमें? Reservation in India is based on social backwardness. And ऐसा क्यों है? Because historically social backwardness means कि I don't have access to education, I don't have access to anything like that. अब on the other hand ये जो है अब मैं upper caste हूँ और मैं गरीब हूँ तो यार मेरी गलती है ना? It's not the fault of the government. मतलब reservation का तो कोई वो है ही नहीं, right?
ये इन्होंने 8 लाख वगैरह ये सब इसलिए किया है ताकि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को इंक्लूड ला सकें इसके अंदर
ताकि बिल्कुल यूजलेस हो जाए ये कोटा, राइट? इट मींस दैट ओनली, ठीक है ना? बिकॉज़ 10% तो वैसे भी बहुत कम होगा. अच्छा हाँ, तुमने ये सुना है क्या क्या हुआ है? इंडियन साइंस कॉन्फ्रेंस में कुछ भी बोला जा रहा था. ये बात तो सही कह रहे हो तुम, ठीक है ना? तो anyhow, but this is mainly for ethics, not useful for us अभी के लिए, prelim के लिए. 10% quota faces legal and political challenges, ठीक है ना? ये तो है ये. फिर ये वाला obviously if in case you haven't gone through कि CBI ने क्या किया तो you can go through this की full उन्होंने बता रखा है कि CBI ने क्या, so you can go through this as well, right? And obviously you can obviously आजकल काफी ये चल रहा है कि how will they make the, cost? They will make the wall. I think.
There was a joke that he just wanted to be on prime time TV.
Okay. Anyhow, then not much here, right? And the mutual funds outflow fair हो रहे हैं in December, right? Hardware exports are supposed to grow at 7 to 8%. Maybe this is useful because maybe electronics वाली industry पे question आ जाए. NASA's probe has discovered a new planet, HD 21749b, right? And this is a reticulum, and this is 3 times larger than Earth and near the size of Neptune, I think. And I think that's useful because science and tech में maybe short film में आ जाए question. But other than that, this is it, right? Last कल का और आज का मिला के.
ये रेलवे बाद में आएगी.